Government is not reason. Government is not eloquence. Government is force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. It's time once again for the real story. And I may even sing this one to you. But I've got a question. Do you have food police? Yes. Drop that tomato. Maybe I should call this episode Drop That Tomato. Tonight I have an episode so that you understand something that your Senate's doing. That's right. Kerry and Brown. It's a Senate bill right now. Senate Bill S-510. Go back in time. Look at HR, House Resolution 485. It's rather interesting, and I thought it was because the title they gave it, the Food Modernization and Safety Act. So I did some reading. I did some research. Stuff I recommend you do, especially if you care about your children and stuff. I see a lot of bumper stickers on cars, and they're like, no farm, no food. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So what about this Food Modernization and Safety Act? Well, let me give you a little thing. This happened out in LA. Just so you know what happens when you sell raw food. I think the place was called, Rawhide? No, some name of it. Oh, it'll come back to me. But here's a little clip from what happened in LA to people selling raw food. Take particular notice of the cops and how they use their weapons. Put down the milk. You with the tomato.
You could call it a case of milking authority way too far. Citizens in the Southern California town of Venice are outraged following a police raid on a raw food store, all over a few bottles of milk. Could this be a sign that police are squeezing too tightly? Well, joining me now with more from our Los Angeles studio is George Heminger. He's the founder of Survive and Thrive TV. So, George, what the heck is going on over there? Do police have nothing better to do in LA than raid organic food stores?
Well, the Los Angeles Times broke this story, and what's shocking about this story is that police officers are going into this grocery store. It's a co-op organic raw food store, guns drawn. And we put this up on Survive and Thrive TV, and it's basically created a firestorm on the internet. People are really, really shocked that the police and the district attorney don't have anything better to do but to harass local cooperatives, engaging in sharing food.
Right, yeah.
It's pretty shocking.
Our viewers are getting a chance to kind of see that video right now, and it is pretty shocking stuff. I mean, you're seeing the police here with their guns raised like they're about to, raid some sort of drug house or something like that. I've heard of fights over a lot of things in the past year. We talk about immigration, healthcare, the war in Afghanistan, but tell me about this battle over organic foods that's brewing. I mean, why are people getting so fired up about this?
Well, what's happening in this country is big agricultural business, large corporations see these co-ops as a threat. They control a majority of the food that's produced in America, and they've hijacked the FDA and government regulatory agencies. If you think about it, these private individuals that go out and own a piece of a farm or own a cow and then share in that production of that is a threat to the market share of these corporations. They don't fit into the corporate model. Therefore, they must be destroyed, apparently.
And let's go back to that video that we were just talking about and we all got a chance to look at. Seems here that, the police are using a little bit of excessive force, and that's a topic that we've covered pretty frequently here on RT. But tell me why it's necessary for the police to swarm in with guns for an assignment like this. And, I also want to point out that this isn't the first time the LAPD have made headlines for doing something dramatic. I mean, why is that? Can you talk a little bit more about their reputation and why incidents like this seem to repeatedly happen?
Sure. I mean, what's involved here is more intimidation tactics by the police. That's what I believe. It wasn't necessary to go in here, guns drawn. I mean, this is a regulatory event. This isn't something where you need to be pointing guns at people. I spoke with the owner of Rawsome, and he was really shocked when he first saw this footage. In fact, a lot of people online are thinking this is a burglary or some other type of event. They don't even believe that it's an actual, the situation that presented itself in the Los Angeles Times. And the owner of Rawsome mentioned to me that in that store they have thermal laser guns that they use to take temperature gauges of the food. What happens if a worker there came out with one of their laser temperature guns when that police officer had his gun drawn like that. We're talking about a major incident. Right now, the police department, the district attorney, is having a major blowback just because of this video that's going viral on the internet.
Right. I guess they're kind of lucky in a way that it didn't get to kind of a worse or more escalated situation there. Now, George, I got a chance to check out your website. It was pretty cool. Tell our viewers a little bit more about yourself. I know you kind of, quote unquote, opted out of the traditional American lifestyle back in 2008. Why did you do that? And, you know, I've met a number of people like you who have done the same thing. Some call themselves preppers, others call themselves survivalists. When you see incidents like this one that happened in LA, does it reconfirm to you that you made the right choice to kind of abandon mainstream America?
Well, mainstream America won't be able to continue to operate the way we're going. I mean, once again, the big corporations have control of the regulatory agencies, and they want people to fit in this corporate model where they can be regulated and controlled and taxed. And the biggest threat that the government and these big corporations have to them are people getting together locally to share food, share resources, and that's what I try to promote on Survive and Thrive TV. That's what's so shocking about what the kind of the crackdown on this type of behavior is. This type of behavior of sharing food and getting back to natural, unprocessed food needs to happen. Because, you know, I mean, as we're saying,
I think that what you're saying makes a lot of sense, and unfortunately we're out of time right now, but it's very great, and you know, that you were able to get your hands on that video and kind of share it with everyone. That's George Heminger, founder of Survive and Thrive TV.
Rather interesting, huh? This is what we have police to do, evidently. That's why we have police, right? Because heaven forbid you sell raw milk as raw milk, or goat's milk as raw goat's milk, or raw cheese, or whatever the raw thing is, right? Rawsome. That was the name of the store. So I just thought that was interesting because you can see what's going to come. That's why, you know, we're practicing these checkpoints. We're told now they're just sobriety checkpoints. Then you find out there's military people there. Well, get used to that military checkpoint, huh? In your new police state. Yeah, that's rather interesting. So anyway, here we go. Here's a little piece for you on criminalizing organic farming.
The new administration is pushing draconian farm controls through Congress as fast as possible and has coordinated the bills so there will be no debate. Opponents say they have less than 2 weeks to stop farming bills that would put organic farms out of business. The group Democracy in Action says the newfound safety bills were sponsored by agribusiness giants Monsanto, Cargill, Tyson's, and ADM. Under the bills, the Department of Agriculture would be able to order organic farmers what to feed their animals, how to medically treat them, and what toxic sprays to use. There would also be penalties beyond the ability of most small farmers to pay. Buried in the bills are regulations that criminalize all aspects of organic farming by listing them as sources of seed contamination. The bills would industrialize farms, force farmers to buy chemicals and drugs, and or face $500,000 in penalties.
So you thought I was kidding. Okay. How about here's a little quick one for you. This is so you know about the Senate Bill S510. It's a quickie, just a minute, so you get an idea.
According to Food for Freedom, S510, the Food Safety Modernization Act, may be the most dangerous bill in the history of the U.S. Number one, it puts all U.S. food and all U.S. farms under Homeland Security and the Department of Defense in the event of contamination or an ill-defined emergency. Number two, it would end U.S. sovereignty over its own food supply by insisting on compliance with the WTO, thus threatening national security. Number three, it would remove the right to clean, store, and thus own seed in the U.S., putting control of seeds in the hands of Monsanto and other multinational corporations, threatening U.S. security. Number four, it begins the final destruction of what is left of the U.S. economy.
All right, my famous quote, and this, I always like Jefferson quotes. Try this one out for size viewers. I hope you enjoy it. This is Thomas Jefferson. If the people let the government decide what foods they eat and what medications they take, oh, Obamacare, I forgot, huh? Their bodies will soon be in as sorry a state as are the souls of those who live under tyranny. Thomas Jefferson. If you go through history and you find people that have government health care, let's take Europe, not Europe, excuse me, but the UK. Geez, the survival rate of cancer is much better over here in the United States. And seeing a doctor is much better. And getting care within the first year is better. But you think, this is an Obamacare show. This is more a food show. Because you have to remember the control of food is extremely important. This is what Stalin did. This is what Mao did. In Stalin's case, in the Ukraine was the breadbasket of Europe. He not only centralized food control, but food distribution. And even went out and got their seeds. Isn't it funny? We're kind of doing all this history repeating itself. So here's a little piece. This is Dr. I want to say Jean Lebo or whatever. She'll tell you about Codex Alimentarius, how this is more of a globalist agenda to control food and to control the people. And pretty soon you won't even be able to buy vitamin C because that'll be against the law. Let alone as, I guess it was Bob Dylan said, pretty soon even your home garden's going to be against the law. That was from Sundown on the Union, which we should probably try to find for you. But just a thought, once again, Dr. Lebo.
He who controls food controls the world. And so they created a trade commission. That's a very important pair of words, a trade commission called the Codex Alimentarius Commission. It is not a public health commission. It is not a consumer protection commission. It is a trade commission. Trade is about what? Money. Business. Trade is about profit. Well, they said in 1962, we're going to work toward total global implementation of Codex Alimentarius on December 31st, 2009. Long term. Codex, according to the World Trade Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization joint projections. Now, I didn't make this up. If you do the numbers in the WHO FAO projections, the epidemiological projections, they estimate, not I, because what do I know? They estimate, they're the experts, that just the vitamin and mineral guideline alone, when it goes into global implementation on December 31st, 2009, will result in a minimum of 3 billion, that's B, bad, big, billion deaths. 1 billion through simple starvation. Those folks who die are not particularly economically successful from the point of view of the corporations. When you're starving to death, how much good can you do when the issue is how much can you buy? Not a lot. Forget them. But the next 2 billion, they will die from the preventable diseases of undernutrition. Cancer, the single most profitable condition ever known to humankind. Cardiovascular disease, a good second. Diabetes, pretty good producer. And a whole host of other preventable diseases. Who will die? Who knows? Who will live? Probably those people who are wealthy enough and powerful enough to have their own pushers of clean food and nutrients. That's who will live. You and I? Probably not. Our children? Probably not. Our grandchildren? Probably not. So we're talking about food regulations that are in fact